Learning slide guitar can be a pain in the ass. Learning in standard tuning can be an even bigger pain in the ass. But I'm going to explain to you in this video why it's important to know it in standard and some really cool tricks and hacks that'll become available to you and make all that hard work pay off. Slide guitar, there's a lot of areas that can really be tripping you up, but what I think is really important is to focus them down to just the technique side of things. So the more you focus your effort on just learning how to play guitar with slide and whatever picking technique you want to do, the quicker you're going to be able to sound better. So one of the reasons why I think standard tuning slide is really important to learn is because chances are you've spent years learning to play guitar in that tuning. So when I say standard tuning, E, A, D, G, B, E, chances are you have some, decent or really good knowledge of where the notes are on the fretboard, how to play guitar and sound good in that setup already. So when you say, okay, I want to learn how to play slide now, it's much easier to not have to worry about where the notes are on the fretboard. It's much easier to just have to worry about, okay, I'm just going to, the guitar hasn't changed. All I'm doing is just going to be playing it a little differently. So that's basically the most important reason why I think it's really good to focus on standard tuning. So you'll see from my 5 slide guitar exercises video, which is up here, a lot of the exercises in there don't really have any dependence on the open tuning. There's one of them in there that it's helpful to be in an open tuning, but you could still do it any way you want. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really depend on the tuning. It just sounds really cool if it is. So the reason I have exercises like that, and these are the ones that I do too, and learn through, it limits, again, like I was saying, it limits all the craziness on the fretboard, which is, for me at least, it was way more daunting, and it still is, the theory side and the note side of it. But the technique side of it is something that I think it's always going to be more important, and it's something that I work on a lot more. Reason why learning in standard is smart: if you're playing in a band or you're performing, having to switch tunings or switch guitars can be a pain in the ass, and if you can stay in one tuning the whole show, it's the best way to do it, and it's going to just make things more seamless. First of all, you're going to look fucking badass. You could do it in standard, because it's just like, most people couldn't even fathom doing it with, a guitar specifically designed for it and everything like that. But also, it's a way to be kind of more professional about things and not really hinder the rest of the show and not make it all about you, kind of. So that's another reason why standard tuning is really good to be able to know and play. Slide guitar and standard tuning, you're going to find really quickly, I know I did, it's much harder to play chords or multiple strings at once, at least initially, and that's where open tunings obviously have the advantage, and that's probably why people started gravitating towards those. But something that I think really working on learning in standard tuning is something that you're going to find is going to happen. You're just going to get, it's going to transform your technique because you have to be way more aware of the wrong notes because there's going to be a lot more of them, or at least the notes you don't want to sound. So it's definitely going to work more for lead, at least initially, or like single string type thing. But you're going to find that there's ways you can play chords and multiple notes and things with slide. It's just going to take more effort. It's not going to be as easy as just playing the entire, guitar over each fret or something. But what you can do is you can isolate certain places where it sounds good. So it might just be on one or two strings here or there. You might have to skip strings here or there. But you're going to find it, and it's not as hard as you might think. So now the little trick that I started to see, and you'll probably see it more clearly in standard tuning, but it's gonna work for anything. So any other tunings. If I'm trying to play multiple notes in like consecutive frets, so like you know what I mean, I can't just lay the slide over the bar and get that sound. It just doesn't work, but it's not super hard to just rotate the slide over. So I hope you can see what's going on. I'm trying to play the 3rd string in the 7th fret and the 2nd string in the 6th fret. Trying to play both those at the same time with the slide now. So what I'm going to do is play the slide over the 3rd string where I want it, and I'm just going to rotate the slide. Because basically, wherever the slide contacts, wherever on the fretboard it contacts, it's going to play that note. Slide has the ability to play the in-between notes and things, but it also has the ability to play, like it's just the same as if you're fretting the notes. You just have to make it work. You just have to figure out. Honestly, I think that sounds pretty fucking cool, and it's not super hard. It's just realizing that it's possible, probably, first off. Now, if you're somebody that plays with this might be somewhat anatomy dependent, or depending on like which slide you use. But I mean, I have another one actually. I have this type, which is a little different than that big bottle one. What was I doing this one? It's actually, honestly, this one actually gives you a little bit more precision, I find. But it's not super hard, and like what's going on, like that to me is going to be way more, just for getting your technique and things like that, it's going to be way more useful to you than it would be if you were just in some weird tuning that it just works everywhere. It's nice, don't get me wrong, but I think if you're in this for the long haul, you want to try to be as comfortable with the technique as possible. And that's not something that's super hard. And it's like, what's really cool is, I'm sure you're, as a player, you've figured out ways to play chords and things without slide. So now, what's a good little exercise is to kind of analyze some ones that are, maybe only one fret apart. So there's another one. So it's a similar kind of format, but now I'm on the 2nd and 1st string. So it's a cool little trick, and something that I think will probably be more apparent if you're in a standard tuning where it's not super easy to just play big fat chords. So something definitely to try out. Piggybacking on the last sort of demonstration there, like, you can do this. It doesn't have to be on consecutive strings. It's probably a little bit easier, but you could do this on. So you could do this on, strings where this one I'm doing it on the 5th string and the 2nd string. I'm starting on the 5th fret. I'm only playing those 2 strings, so I'm skipping the 3rd and the 1st string. But I've got this next chord that I want to play where I'm on the 4th string, 7th fret, 2nd string, 6th fret. This one I'm still trying to work on, but because it might be a little bit easier to cover up behind. I'm like going back and forth whether, like, there's some places where covering the strings behind it's good, and other times where you might want to not do it, but that's a whole nother explanation. But see, again, there's only a 1 fret difference here, so getting the slide to play over those 2, it's not super hard. You just gotta be more, aware to only play the 2 strings that you want to sound. Not super hard, see? Because you got to make the slide do the work, and you just have to sort of just get in your head, okay, I have this like sort of solid bar now to play the notes, instead of like, multiple digits to go everywhere. Like, once that sort of gets into your head. Now, I'm not saying like you have to be able to do this, and you can only do this in standard tuning. It's just, I think it'll be more clear to you because you're going to be a little bit more encumbered by the fact that to play chords, given the way the intervals are set up on the strings, more than likely you do have to stretch over frets. Not as much the case in an open tuning, but open tunings have a lot of limitations too in their own right, so this is going to be kind of cool to even manipulate those tunings down the line. But these chords and things are going to be way easier to grasp in your head rather than trying to learn where the chords are now in a new tuning. So another another thing, I mean, you could do this, you can play it 3 strings too. This is like I guess like a D major chord, or any kind of major chord wherever you are. It's easier as you go up because there's less, the frets are skinnier, so but like a D major, probably see it better. So 4th fret, 4th string, 12th fret, 3rd string, 11th fret, 2nd string, 10th fret. So it's really cool sliding into them too. Anyway, so another one to try out. Alright, so I hope you guys got some good information there as to why learning slide and standard tuning is worth the struggle that it is. It's definitely going to be a struggle, but trust me, it's going to be worth it in the end. I hope those little tricks at the end can show you some of the cool things that'll end up being exposed to you from really putting in the effort there. So best of luck in your slide journey. If you're struggling, I've got a video up here with 5 slide guitar exercises that'll really help to transform and improve your playing. Check out the links below. I've got some original music on Spotify, all the other streaming platforms if you want to check them out. Always releasing and recording more, so stay tuned. Check out my Instagram too for other videos of playing and updates and things, and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks.